Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
She make a brush wanna get to the money. She make a brush wanna get to the money. She make a Grinch wanna get to the money. I'm a dirty nigga, so I steal some money. She friends on you, cause I'm giving her blood. My feet getting skinny, but I'm getting chunk. I'm your Grinch, baby, not hubby. I don't need no bitch, my clientele love me. I was hugging the block, it ain't hugging. Ghostbusters try to catch me a duck. Dog in the track at the fat make pup. Watch dropped in the cup, turn to a slushy. Dior collab, only time this dust. Only young niggas in Queens, whole gang bust. Not a Grinch, Nisa don't touch. Everybody don't rap, bro, dropping on touch. I pledge to the Grinch, this a yellow country. Till I pick up the pints, fly you out the country. Fuck with a Grinch, no boo when you hungry. Now I'm on her tongue, you lay up with her, I make her score you a dumb. This glitter be turning opposite of money. Chase no bitch, never seen him on money. 10 out of 10, hoes choosing the money. You chasing a whole nigga, use a dummy. I keep a lick, tuck no tongue. You Grinch up, you moving funny. God show me they ain't for me. They ain't stretching that work, God touching that aim. The ass fat and all aim. Straight hundreds on me, but I'm single. Ain't talking no money, I'm sorry, little single. Gotta pay me to come to your venue. Got food in the trap, we even got a menu. Let's make a movie till we continue. Red beam on his forehead, he him. I want a collie, but I settle for Ken. I'm on like dental. I keep lead, no pencil. She eat it up, she don't need utensils. Mother fire, then you made the schedule. Pussy water, then you made the roster. She eat the kids, no foster. Stop screaming Grinch and imposter. The mob, I call mines eating pasta. Ops actors need to get an Oscar. I had to get ice, the glitter was lava. Show me you proud of me, baby, we both in Prada. Match with the work, get it going like ta-da. Match with the stick, now you gone like voila. Muscle shooter king, then pray to Allah. Real Grinch, gon' get a dollar. Got a red polo, LV on the collar. Back shots making a holler. Baby bottles, no taller. Water on me, no shower. I took out the plug, no power. 2 weeks to come, gotta go down an hour. How did I do that? She make a Grinch wanna get to the money. Dirty nigga, so I steal some money. She friends on you, cause I'm giving her blood. My feet getting skinny, but I'm getting chunk. I'm your Grinch, baby, not hugging. I don't need no bitch, my clientele love me. I was hugging the block, it ain't hugging. Ghostbusters try to catch me a duck. Dog in the track at the fat make pup. Watch dropping the cup, turn to a slushy.
She won't kick that shit like rugby. Bringing your back can't be no hubby. I gave him style when I gave him drunk me. I done went miles and I ain't made 1G. It was just me and Sean Big had 1G. It was just me and Big Al for 10 MG. Why they want hate on me? Like, yeah, sleeping on me, got Z. I was a teen, all up in the trap, let 21 shots, ain't need ID. Never went down, don't need IV. I'm in a different league, IV. Water on me, hit different IV. 200 on dash, ain't CRV. Trap for the back, no CRV. Trap for the back, or CRV. Grinch head tape, no VCR. No competition.
I got Angie just shots of rock, depending on me. I got Angie just shots of rock, depending on me. I got Angie just shots of rock, depending on me. I got Angie just shots of rock, depending on my ex old friends know they hating on me. The plaque mans know they waiting on me, but for now a pint sale waiting for me. And I'm 10 minutes, can't see the bullshit cause the frame's in it. If I'm in that car, you know them things in it. Keep it 30 clip, you know I hang with it. When it's time to slide, you see Wayne with it. I ain't stopping leaning until Wayne quit it. Hope I walk in court and they say I quit it. You don't gotta come, just tell me where the ship. Acrobatic gang got the trap flipping. Or the new mob to catch a off slipping. He outta here. Say the spot for 2 months and I'm outta there. Russian jeweler, call him Vladimir. Need a couple thousand, get the shit I wear. Came for nothing, make me wanna drop a tear. Made a bitch cry in my denim tear. I ain't see flocking like 5 years. And it's crazy, got another 5 years. Time going fast, but need to go fast. Court judge the cover and don't read a chapter. Get the money first, the ops after. I'm just a real Grinch turn rapper. My jack boys got trackers. Grinched up, never been a slack. When you ugly and get money, you attractive. Yeah, I rap, but I'm still active. I walk in Christian like a Baptist. They don't see the vision, get them glasses. When it's smoke, glitter, turn them ashes. Keep looking at my phone, so I'm not on lashes. On the road to riches, I'm in traffic. Get the pack missing like magic. I got Angie just shots of rock, depending.
Young gun no one that back calling me splurge. Ride me jump right off the curb. Bentley spray fly like a bird. Spin on the first and the third. Solid, I'm keeping my word. Can't be my equal, I don't know what you heard. Crank up the foreign, I swear. Keep me a stick if they purge. Young gun on one that they working my nerves. I'm about to pull some serve. Fucking this bitch like a perm. Smack from the back of a perm. Ice, the bird. Shitting on all you little turds. Can't take that dick, wait your turn. In my own lane, we can't merge. So with no head, you can learn. Let's see how much you can earn. Why me go big like the worm? And I ain't smoking no shirt. I'm in the beat with P. Litty. QP ski. I love my bitches, it's pretty. They showing their titties, it's up to the ceiling. I let her run through $1 million. I rock with her, really, let's fuck on $1 billion. I'ma get down to the gritty, then fuck up the city, the home of the villains. Ecstasy, wonderful feeling. Smoke out the pound when I'm chillin'. Trappin', I made me a killer. Look, I got everybody wishing. I hope you play your position. I don't want nobody listening. I see them hold with precision. Give us my only decision. Young gun don't want that back calling me splurge. Ride me jump right off the curb. Bentley spread fly like a bird. Spin on the first and the third. Solid, I'm keeping my word. Can't be my equal, I don't know what you heard. Crank up the foreign, I swear. Keep me a stick if they purge. Yeah.
I got some needs. I need the money like I need to breathe. I need some honest and I need to scheme. I need the W by any means. Yada I mean. Tell that little bitch that I'm out of her league. Enough is enough, and I think I'm allergic to suckers. You niggas keep making me sneeze. And I'm out for blood and I'm making them bleed. You try to run it, I'm breaking your knee. I made them fall like I'm raking the leads. You know I ball like I play for the league. I mean what I say and I say what I mean. I ain't no joke, we ain't making no memes. If I pull up on them, I'm making a scene. Then I'm making them scream. Straight from the bricks, I need a lick. I drink the body since I was a jig. Nigga unlit, how can I miss? Came from the bottom and got me a check. Bitch, I'm a threat, I got a flex. You want the crime, but don't know what it takes. I am built different, I'm not what you think. I cannot lose, I go out with a bang. I hope you never say my name in vain. I'm with whatever, just not for no games. I know they say I change, I cannot say the same. I bet they want me shackled, they're locked in the chains. I guess that's just what happens with bad news. On my mama, I never been fragile. I'm the wrong with the fuck with his tablet.
What is going on, family? What is going on, family? I hope everybody's having a good day. Right, we're in the cut. We're live. We're going to be starting here in about 5 or 6 minutes, family. Let's get at least 20, 25 plus on the call before we start. Send the link to anybody, right? This is a call that's open to anybody. If you guys know that people are into smart money concepts, or people are just looking to potentially find setups for this week, not on just the commodities, but the indices, make sure that you guys send this link out and drop a like. Out of curiosity, I want to know where you guys are tuning in from in the chat. So make sure that you guys drop in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. Right, we're going to get it started here in about a couple minutes, family. So let's make sure that we are Gucci.
I was just trying to give me some dollars, a couple dollars. Turn my pennies from hundreds to commons. I'm so happy them days are behind us.
I ride by different spots, I get flashbacks. I can't get on your level, I'm past that. Watch me run that shit up, I can't go back to none. Trying to get to the top of the world. My nigga went crazy, walked in this corner and seen someone fucking this girl. Fuck all that spinning block, that's that little boy shit we catchin', we rockin' this world. I let everybody have their fun with me. Never had a woman say she done with me. I was working out on the company. I keep money coming in constantly. My little brody done be having runs for cheap. Trying to get it, I've been on the run for weeks. Don't think none of you niggas could come for me. Both of my kids got it honestly. I'm the real deal. All the way on half step. Gotta do better than last year. That's my motto. Put a switch on the blick for the auto. Put them things on the plane like I'm Rollo. Proud to say that I finally changed up. Why the fuck they keep bringing my name up? Cause I'm poppin'. I can never go back to the old days. No way, back to walking to work on a cold day. Back to thinking my ex was my soulmate. Back to telling myself it'll be okay. We'll be okay. Was surviving, I roaming in OJ. I was paying the bills, I had no say.
I can never go back to the bottom.
To the bottom, selling drugs, never know when the cops come. Niggas jealous, they wanted to rob us. I was just trying to give me some dollars. Couple dollars, turn my pennies from 100 to commas.
I'm so happy them days are behind us. I'm so happy them days are behind me. I'm so happy the paper done found me. I done keep some good niggas around me. I got rid of them niggas who down me. Keeping good energy and I'm prayed up. Tunnel vision ain't no.
Real road front, I front up the racks, I'm getting that money and speed. They want 100, now I'm like, what? No cap, discipline, J. Paddock Philippe. I spent 50, my jeweler bust down, gang had to bust down big UCs. I come from nothing, bitch, I'm getting money, I'm slime, I'm signing the streets. I gave her a dub, baby, I I'm one of a kind, do your hands, your nails, and feet. Hold on, she bust, her neck flooded. I'm out to buy her a brand new piece. I had to get it like my mom dug it. I had to get up and get on my feet. I'ma keep going, cause my vibe die right now. Who won't give money to feed? Walking the dealer like I want this. I want some shit, I could go top speed. I want some shit that's me and my bitch. Throwing my chin with a big AP. Shit to the top, like mama, we lit. They on me going, cause you know I'm a beast. I'ma keep getting money, keep stacking the chips. Yeah, feet running up on a slow nigga piece. She want a Birkin, she off a brick, kick rocks. I'm a style little bitch to the street. Throw my mama 100, my sister 100. I got a whole nother family to feed. I was just out robbing, now I'm getting money. I ain't think about being rich overseas. Cartier bust down, two-tone flood. You ain't gotta be rich, so we'll bag you a piece. Rockstar baby, I'm living a dream. Leave a whole lot of blood on the scene. I'm a hyena, that's fuck you mean. I'm a vulture, I'm flying with wings. Bitch, I'm a star, he ain't see what I seen. He ain't need 30s, nigga a fiend. Bro off the walk in and out his dream. Chopper go cry, nigga lean.
What's your choice of drug? I be sipping syrup, I think I'm in love. Whoa. From the apartment to the top truck, now it's sold out shows. She said she play with her nose, I told her that's not in my goals. I know when to go, I know when to fold, that's never. They throwing dirt with no shovel, it ain't no shame.
About my city, blowed up, pussy won't smoke, roll up, fucking on your bitch, throwed up, drinking on the dirty soda, promise I never was sober. Niggas ain't never bustin' vultures, Percocet, Molly, damn, baby, crashing eggs on your food, nanny. I done made love to an Ethiopia, again, out of Pelina in a Fruitopia, I done pulled up one and bought me two, fuck around, had to pull up one more. Check my threads, I done went Hermes, I done went New Gas, I done went BBS, dirt in my cup and no cleaning up fresh, fuck her the best and she love me to death, but I done made love to an Ethiopia, again, out of Pelina in a Fruitopia, I done pulled up one and bought me two, fuck around, had to pull up one more. Check my threads, I done went Hermes, I done went New Gas, I done went BBS, dirt in my cup and no cleaning up fresh, fuck her the best and she love me to death, but I
What's your choice of drug? I be sipping syrup, I think I'm in love. Whoa. From the apartment to the top truck, now it's sold out shows. She said she play with her nose, I told her that's not in my goals. I know when to go, I know when to fold, that's never. They throwing dirt with no shovel, it ain't no shame in my game. It ain't no flaw in my name, only lay up in the rain. I made a promise, I bought her a ring. You can do that, but don't go get the grain. Rose red umbrella, tall white thing look like Cinderella. I be fucking with the mob, I know good fellas. I ain't fucking with the perp, my man get him. And he got jiggles in my game. It ain't no flaw in my name, only lay up in the rain. I made a promise, I bought.
What is going on? What is going on, family? I hope you guys are having an amazing Sunday. It's Monday, wherever you guys are tuning in from. But we are here for another live. We got market overview. Today, we're going to be just taking a little peek, taking a little gander at just potentially what there is really to take place leading into the beginning of the week. I'm excited for this week just because of all the volatility last week. We definitely got a lot of movement. I feel like we definitely caught a lot of moves. Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys were able to secure anything last week out of the market, whether that be like gold, one of the indices. Just drop in the chat what you guys caught, right? I'm curious to see what you guys were able to just have as the highlight of your trading week when it came down to just some of the setups that we actually were looking at, as well as the setups that we obviously caught leading into last week, because I definitely feel like there was a lot of opportunity. There was definitely a lot of money to be made with just either direction, right? On a lot of currencies, a lot of forex pairs. I know Silva was showing me UCAD. So UCAD was something that I know that you guys spanked. You guys know me. I was really just focused on gold as well as US30, and you know, NAS, we were looking at the direction overall, but US30 we were definitely at least I participated more in 30. But to initially just start off the week, right, we're gonna take a look at gold, and really we're gonna start from the top, right? So at the beginning of every week, this is kind of, even before we actually get into this, okay? So So before we even get into like the actual charts, what I want to do and what I want to go over is something that in my eyes a lot of people neglect. And I would say a lot of people neglect this just due to the simplistic fact that I don't feel like a lot of people are actually taught the fundamentals top down. And when I say fundamentals, it's one thing to analyze a chart, and it's another thing to sit there and review your trades and understand how you can make improvements, as well as how you can potentially just make the adjustments necessary to either improve or just completely change whatever result it was that you got. So give me 1 second. Need to make sure I got a pen that works. None of these pens work. God damn. Okay, lit. So essentially what we're going to be going over just is something that I personally like to do at the beginning of the week, especially on Sundays, and we're going to start doing this together on the calls, just because I really think that moving forward, this is going to be one of the fundamentals that really allows us to progress in our trading at a rate that not only is going to be faster, but it's just going to be something that you're going to noticeably be able to track just your progression throughout the duration of you trading. Okay, so for those of you that don't have a trading journal, okay, you guys should look into getting a trading journal. Right, I have this one right here, and basically at the beginning of every week there is a weekly review. Okay, so for the weekly review, what you guys are gonna write down, if you don't have this particular journal, which is the Forex, it's literally 4, the number 4, and then the letter X. That's what it is, Forex Trading Journal, if you guys want to go get one of those. But basically when it comes down to this whole structure, it's just very clean. I like the way that it's set up because in my eyes it's very organized. So the first thing that you're gonna have is you're gonna have your weekly goals. Okay, so you're gonna have 3 weekly goals. All right, so I want every single person on this call right now to write out your 3 weekly goals when it comes down to the chart. So I'm gonna do that myself too, right? So we're gonna do this all together. So understand, if you want to become a profitable trader, this is something that you need to do before you even start going on the charts, because the ones who fail to plan to fail. Okay, proper preparation prepares for perfect performance. So if you're not gonna prepare for the week, if you're not gonna have a goal, understand Earl Nightingale in The Stranger's Secret literally gives you the recipe for success, right? And success is just a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Okay, so if you don't actually have a goal that you're working towards and you're progressively working towards achieving, you're just gonna have no direction in life. You're gonna drift. Okay, if you guys have never gone through Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill and you don't understand what a drifter is, understand a drifter is just simply somebody who conforms, right? Somebody who conforms to society's norms. So somebody who really is going to be a drifter is somebody who really only goes to school, only goes to work, and then parties after, you know, on the weekends, right? Lives paycheck to paycheck, doesn't manage their money correctly, right? And just stays in that system where they're either relying on their job, relying on the government, or relying on both. Okay, so your 3 weekly goals, write that down right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and write this down too. Okay. So for the goals, once you write down your goals, basically the next part under that in this journal is just going to be your performances for the week. So basically you can come back to that at the end of the week and you can kind of write out how many wins, how many losses, what was your win percentage, all of that stuff. But basically, right, what you're going to do is you're going to sit there and you're going to just write down, ideally, what did you do wrong last week? Okay, so you need to sit here and you need to have your error list, essentially. So for example, some of you, maybe you didn't manage your positions correctly. So maybe one of the errors was you didn't take profit where you were supposed to. So if that was one of your errors, you need to write that down. Write down, I was supposed to take profit at a 1 to 5, but instead I let it ride to a 1 to 10 and I ended up getting hit break even, or my stop loss got hit. Okay, so it's like you just need to write that out. Okay, the next thing that you want to do is you want to write the improvements. Okay, so what improvements did you make last week that reflected in the results of your trading? So maybe one of the difficulties that you had the week before was getting entries. Maybe your entries were better this week. Maybe you didn't make any money, but maybe your entries were better this week. So you have to sit here and you always have to look at the small incremental improvements, because that's really what's going to be building the foundation that's going to help you just get to that point where it's like, imagine you're in the gym, right? If you're in the gym, one workout doesn't seem like it's doing a lot, but one workout every day for 30 days is going to have you looking a little bit different than you previously were. Doesn't matter how insignificant the workout is. If you're working out for 15 to 20 minutes a day, in 30 days, you're going to see some type of difference, whether that's strength increase, whether your physique looks a little bit different. Like, there's going to be some type of improvement, okay? So the next thing that you want to do, ideally, is you want to have something on your list that ideally is going to sit here and sorry, I'm just going to the next page. And basically what you want to do is have something there that's going to, everything that's on your trading plan, every like checklist that you have, you need to sit there and you need to figure out, okay, where last week did these things not actually go right? So it's like, if you have like a trading just confirmation that you wait for, but it's like that confirmation happened and your trade didn't go the way that it wanted to after that confirmation, it's like you have to identify, is that really a valid confirmation? It's like, you guys can ask me, right, even in the chat, right, if there's certain things, like if right now you guys are kind of reflecting over some of your things that maybe you went wrong on, it's like, drop in the chat, right? Drop in the chat what you guys feel like you guys needed a little bit of help with when it came down to maybe position management. Like, what went wrong last week for you guys, if anything? Like, even if you had a good trading week, it's like, the way that I look at it, it's like we're never perfect. So even though you might have made money last week, if you're looking at it from the perspective of there's nothing you can improve on, it's like you're lost, you're flawed. Because for me, it's like, I feel like I caught a decent amount of moves last week, but there's still a lot that I can improve on in terms of position management, and even just a few other things, right, that I identified. So when it comes down to that, you have your weekly goals, right? And now what you ideally want to do, right, is sit there and you want to be able to create really just, when it comes down to what your biggest improvements are, what you're looking to do in the chart, it's like that has to be your main focus, and that has to be on the forefront of like everything that you do when it comes down to trading. Because I was having this discussion with my team, like there's times where like I go on like little rants to my squad, and it's not that, I feel like sometimes they might think like, damn, like Cash is like mad at someone, but it's like, it's not any one person in particular. It's like sometimes I just be going on, like I have little epiphanies in my head, and it's like, to me it's just like I'm just like basically regurgitating what's in my brain, just, and I'm sharing, I'm talking out loud basically. That's what I'm doing, right? Because that's basically all my thoughts are. I'm just thinking and I'm just putting it out there so that people can sit there and just take perspective for what it is. Because like I said, if people get offended by general statements, at that point it's just because the shoe fits, right? So when we sit here and we really look at things, I was really having this discussion with a couple people as well, but I was saying a lot of people are just truthfully not as consistent as they think, right? And it's just like there's a lot of people that I talk to within the course of my team, and it's like they tell me like, "Yo, Cash, I took a couple of days off. Yo, Cash, I took a week off." And it's like there's nothing wrong with taking time off, because sometimes life gets stressful. Sometimes you need to just remove yourself and just refocus, regain. But if you're 5 months, if you're 3 months, if you're 2 months, if you're less than a year into your journey, and you're less than a year into just trading as a whole, it's like truthfully, like you can't have a day off. Like you don't deserve a day off yet. So it's like for me, it's like the last maybe 6 months, I've taken the majority of like 3 to 4 months to really like, I haven't done as much as I know I could have for like 4 months out of the 6, right? And it's because there's been certain obligations and certain things I've had to handle outside of the business and trading that required my attention. But what you have to understand, right, is I wasn't doing that in my first year. I had a lot of debts and a lot of things that happened in my first 2 years of trading. And it's like if I just stopped, it's like I had 2 of the biggest debts in my family happen at the peak of like my business. In terms of like I had 200 people internationally just enrolled into my business, right? That's about like $30,000 in just sales volume every month. Okay? And it's like I was doing that as I had some of the biggest impactful events happen in my life. And I kept going. Like I didn't stop. I didn't slow down. I took maybe an hour, like I took a little bit of time to sit there. Like I would work my ass off, and then at the end of the night, I would drink a bottle of Douce. So I started drinking heavy, but it's like, the thing about me drinking was I was drinking, but I was still out producing, and I was doing a lot of work. Like I was sitting there, and it's like, I wasn't just drinking all day throughout the middle of the day getting lit. It was like, I'm like, okay, I'm waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to the gym. After that, I'm hopping on a live call, I'm doing phone work all day until like basically midnight. Right? Then I stream at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? And in between me maybe streaming, I'll have like a drink and I'll smoke, relax, right? And in the days when I don't have stream, it's like, boom, I'm lit. I don't care, right? Because I was efficient. But it's like, until you get to that point of efficiency, it's like, you can't make compromises. Like, you can't tell yourself you deserve one day. How do you deserve one day and you're still broke? How do you deserve one day and you're still clocked into 9 to 5? Like, you can't tell me you deserve a day off, but you're working at a 9 to 5 right now that you don't like. It's like, it doesn't make sense. It's like you have to sacrifice now for the future. You can't sit here and justify your work is so hard. Like, motherfucker, work is hard for everybody. Everybody has hard work. Like, you have to understand, being an entrepreneur is harder because your ass is not gonna get fired. Like, the thing about entrepreneurship is when you are inconsistent, basically what that tells me is you'll never make any money in business, because if you were at your job and you were inconsistent and you didn't show up for an hour, or you didn't show up for a day without telling them, you're getting fired. So why do we treat trading with a different mentality? Like, why do we treat trading as though we're not going to get fired? Like, you might not get fired, but you're just going to be broke, and you're going to be in that passion paradox of always being busy but accomplishing nothing, right? The passion paradox are people who are always talking, but they don't move anywhere. They don't progress. They tell you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. And then 2 years later, they're in the same spot, screaming the same shit. That's a passion paradox. The people who are always busy but don't move. It's like, how are you always busy but you're not progressing? To me, if you're not progressing, you're doing something wrong. To me, if I don't get progress with something that I do in 7 days, if I don't progress, and what I mean by progress is if I don't see something is slowly starting to give me a different result. Like, I'm not talking something 360 backflips and just, no. I'm talking like, if I start doing something and I notice, hey, I'm getting a different result than what I was getting before, and I know for sure what I was doing before was wrong. So if I know I'm getting a different result right now, all right, I'm gonna keep doing it for another week. I normally like to give things a try for 3 weeks. If things are progressively moving forward within the first week, I'll keep it going for the first 21 days, because it takes 21 days to develop a habit. By the time you get to 21 days, it's amazing how efficient you could really get. Okay? So what we have to start doing is asking ourselves, like, what do you want to do with trading? Because some of you guys say that you want to replace trading as income, you want to be full-time traders, you want to be six-figure trader, you want to be this, but it's like, you're not putting in the time. How do you expect to get funded? Like, look, I'm gonna tell you this, right? How do you expect to get funded when you don't put in the time to learn how to be emotionally disciplined enough to not get excited when you see big numbers? Like, the biggest thing that I see with people that use funded accounts is they over leverage like crazy, because they see 100,000 and they get excited. Your risk management is poor on your regular account, but it doesn't look as bad because you're only trading with $100. So when you blow your account, you're not really tripping. But then you start to realize when you take these funding challenges, they're like, oh man, this isn't working. So learn from my mistakes, learn from other people's mistakes. Like, you guys learn from a lot of great educators. It's like, learn from their mistakes instead of just creating your own experiences that can be avoided. Like, if you can avoid losing thousands of dollars, why would you not do that? And it's like, I feel like a lot of us, we don't do that. It's like, you have a 9-to-5, I get it, but it's like, you can't blame your 9-to-5 as to why you're not working on what's gonna fuel your passion and your dreams. Like, you should be excited when you get home from work, because now you have time to invest into you. How is it that you have more energy to invest into something that doesn't serve your goal and your purpose, but then when it comes down to investing into yourself, it's like, boom, you're tired. It's like, you have to make it make sense. And this is why I tell you, it's so crucial to have a plan. A lot of you guys are still not even going to create a plan after this. Like, a lot of you still haven't even made a plan for this week. And for those of you that have a plan, having a plan and not following it, you might as well not have a plan at all. Because some of you might say, yo, Cash, I know I need a plan. Like, how many of you feel like you know you need to have a plan? Drop in the chat. Drop a 1 in the chat if you feel like you know you need to have a plan. Because I'm curious. Does anyone know that they have to have a plan? Two people? Right? So the thing about that, right? If you're dropping a 1 or you're saying, I know. To know and to not do is to not know at all. So if you know you should have a plan and you don't have a plan, you don't actually know. So stop being ignorant. You're being ignorant. You're saying you know something that you don't do. If you know it and you don't do it, right? You don't know it at all. If you know it, it appears in your life. So if you know you should have a plan, the plan is in your life. If you know you should be a disciplined trader, being a disciplined trader is in your life. Like, that's the difference between saying I know something and sitting there and being realistic with yourself. So this is really like, yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of chat to you guys about. But let's get into the charts, because I'm excited actually for gold. So when it comes down to Goldilocks, okay, daily time frame wise, right? What we were really discussing overall, obviously with the seasonality of things, we're obviously looking for buys now, right? But one thing in particular that we were looking at from the daily perspective was just this daily insufficiency, right? So we failed this daily insufficiency, right? Based off of obviously what took place at the end of last week. Currently, target wise, right? For those of you that have been on the calls, just really all of last week, you guys know that for me, I'm looking for 2001 to be filled. So ideally, we could expect to see that probably, like, I would expect to see it fairly fast, if we're being quite honest. In terms of the daily, really at least this is what I'm looking to see get filled before we potentially see Maybe a retracement back down to the downside. We might take all of this, but at the same time, I don't think that will happen until maybe now September, just based off of what we got. It just really depends on how we react once we break above all of this structure. But overall, on the daily, this IPA right here is where I'm looking to target. So what I'm kind of seeing right now is okay. If we were to come all the way back down to these lows, in my eyes, like we shouldn't, just because of the accumulation, right? Ideally, if we are coming back down, it's not going to be to test this whole bottom. Like if we're going to come back down, we're going to come back down close to the bottom. We shouldn't run this low, in my eyes, if we're really going to continue to the upside. So that's just kind of the way that I'm looking at it. So just in terms of that perspective, now breaking it down to the 4 hour, right? What immediately we could potentially look to see is just fills towards the downside to then see us continue up. What we might just see overall, which in my eyes would be fairly clean, would be Friday, right? If we really take a look at Friday, all we really did was consolidate. We really didn't do too much. Yeah, we did create a higher high, but we basically broke down and we closed basically where we opened at. So I'm kind of looking for us to take Friday's low, just because to me it just seems like a good little spot where we have some liquidity resting, right? I would ideally imagine price probably pushes down, at least we might even tap 45. I like this. I basically like either a reaction out of this candle, right? Or really what I'm looking to see overall is just this test, right? So if we are just familiar with Wyckoff, to me, what we got in terms of 15-minute structure, which I'm going to kind of go over right now as well, is just this accumulation, okay? So if we sit here and we really take a look at this, for those of you guys that were in the chats or just any of the group chats really that we have, we called this out perfectly, right? So the spring, like I said, called it out when it was like literally down here. That's what we were anticipating, just that initial sweep down to be. And really when we sit here and we take a look at Wyckoff, right? The one thing that, like I said, a lot of people really get confused on. If you guys weren't on Thursday's call, or was it Friday? Thursday or Friday? I can't remember if I went live on Friday morning. But basically, when it comes down to phase A, phase B, phase C, right? You want to ideally position yourself in phase C or phase D. Okay. Phase A and phase B, you are 90% of the time going to be just a little bit early. So if you don't want to be early, what you're going to have to sit here and do, like I said, is wait for phase C. And phase C to me is just like, it's the safest bet, and it's easy to identify once you get familiarized with what you're supposed to be looking at. So like I said, as a whole, there's a lot of people that don't really understand Wyckoff. And like I said, it's like they teach Wyckoff and they confuse the fuck out of people. I try and make it as simplistic as possible, because for me, when I first came in, Wyckoff is very difficult to learn. Like this concept took me the longest to digest versus everything else. And to me, the reason why I was able to identify and just get better at Wyckoff was just the repetition, right? It took me like 2 years to really get to the point where I can just start seeing the accumulation and distribution instead of having to attempt to mark up all of this fucking crazy shit, because in reality, this doesn't really happen all the time, right? Like I said, I tell you guys this all the time. This in-between bullshit is not going to be the same, picture perfect. The common denominators that you're going to find that are going to be very similar, if not the same, and it's going to help you identify accumulation the easiest, right? And also distro, it's just you have to look at it on the flip. I'll go over that after. But basically, the selling climax in phase A, right? The secondary test in phase B, and the spring. Okay, I don't care about the secondary test in phase A. I don't even care about the automatic rally. That automatic rally to me is that first confirmation that the selling climax is valid. So to me, the automatic rally which is going to be that first little pop-up that you see that typically is going to break the smaller time frame structure. You're going to see like a 3-minute, 5-minute break of structure. That's going to be that automatic rally, right? How you notice that automatic rally is because once we break that structure on the smaller time frame, we should automatically push below that selling climax and create that secondary test. So typically that second low sweep, right? That second sweep of the lows is going to be that confirmation. So when we sit here and we look at this, right, from the 15-minute, what we talked about was, okay, that first little break of structure, that first break above that previous lower high or whatever 3-minute, 5-minute. But in this case, we actually broke above this little 15-minute lower high. Okay, so breaking above that, now we sit here, we see, okay, cool. We get this first initial break. So that's that shot. That's that first sign, right? So this would be that automatic rally. So now we would look at this at the bottom, right? That would be our selling climax. Okay. So immediately after the selling climax, we get that automatic rally, right? Then what do? We sweep below. We sweep below that low. And notice what happens, right? We start to slowly staircase up. And then what? We trickle down, right? Notice what happens after that secondary test. We staircase up, trickle down. Like, this is what I'm telling you. Like, the in-between is not going to be this perfect every time. But it's going to, like, the consistency is going to remain the same. You're going to see a little staircase, and then you're going to see it slowly break itself down. So this looks not exactly the same, but this looks very similar as this. Like, you notice how we pop up, whoop, down. After this secondary test, right, we pop up, whoop, sweep, okay? And then this final point is going to be that spring, okay? So that spring, ideally, on the 15-minute, like I said, you wouldn't have really got confirmation that that was really validated until after this close. But now if we dig down into the 5-minute, right, and now we look at it from the 5-minute perspective, ideally, off the 1-minute, that's where, I'll go to the 1-minute. Actually, 5-minute. We'll stick to the 5-minute. Right, so just identifying ideally these first initial areas, right? Now, looking at it on the 5-minute, right? What we want to see on this spring, right, to get that safer entry, right? Because realistically, you could kind of guess on the bottom, but it's like you really never know how low we're gonna go. So I typically like to wait for a 1-minute engulfing candle. Right, so 1-minute engulfing candle. Ideally, this is the candle that you want to get in on. Okay. And the reason for that is because on the 1-minute, this is where that 1-minute structure breaks. But it's like just this candle right here. Right, 8:29. I always talk about candle opens, right? So 8:30 immediately, because we swept this low right at 8:30, I immediately bought. As soon as we push below this wick, I bought, right? So I bought, and I believe my best entry was around here, right? And my stop was literally, I had it right below the low, but I broke even so fast, right? I basically broke even right after this candle, right? Because we wicked back down. We basically filled in some insufficiency. We had some imbalance. And I actually got back into the market again there. Right? So on the 3-minute as well, if we sit here and look, right? This 3-minute candle is really what I was anticipating to see engulf to the upside. So playing off the 1-minute, I got in. But then also looking at the 3-minute, I'm like, this looks like smaller time frame accumulation on the 3-minute as well. So by the time it came down to the 5-minute, right? Once we actually got this close above this 5-minute, high, immediately notice how we come back. This sell candle. What is the sell candle tap? It taps this last down candle, right? So that last down candle, before we actually swept the lows, right? Before we then actually broke 5-minute structure. So just taking a look at that in itself, it's like you could have repositioned yourself off the 5-minute easily there, right? So I think personally, this right here, if you wanted to study like accumulation, would be a beautiful example from Thursday, right? Thursday was just like picture perfect. And like I said, we had the bottom, right? Not because we're guessing. It's like we literally identified the accumulation on top of just everything else that we look for in terms of the market. And that's what we were able to position ourselves and get. So just based off of that, right? The biggest confusion as well, too, that I find with just this accumulation and everything that goes on is the test, okay? So the test, I feel like a lot of people think that the test happens right away. And it's like, it could, but it's like, to me, typically, you're going to see the test happen a little bit later, right? So this is where, again, too, to me, the schematic is not necessarily as accurate, because typically we're going to come back and we're going to touch that test area more than once, right? If we touch it right away, perfect. But for the most part, it's like what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to tap it again. So the thing about the test is the test that happens after the spring always is going to come back to that secondary test in phase B. So notice here, right? On the 15-minute, based off of our structure, right? This is that secondary test in phase B. Notice how after we close above this area, notice how this wick comes and taps this area perfectly. So that secondary test area, like I said, this is going to be your safest entry always. So this is even where I know a couple people were able to catch re-entries on my squad just based off of that fundamental. And it's easy, right? Because we came back and we tapped it right away. If you just targeted equal highs here, that could have been a potential 1 to 17, right? Within, on the 15-minute, within like an hour and a half, give or take. So for me, right, I look at this as the potential of, we could even come back all the way down here and tap this again. Because that's typically, if you guys going back test even gold, what we typically do on just like a higher time frame of things. And even looking at the hourly and 30-minute, to me, this is still, the accumulation is clean. So we haven't really come back and tested anything besides that 15-minute area. So in my eyes, I'm still kind of looking at down here is the potential for an entry as well. Okay, to then see us continue to the upside as well. So overall, like I said, what we're gonna see is either more than likely us come and sweep these lows, fill in some insufficiency in here. To me, I would have to see just some either accumulation, or I would just have to see like a clean break on a smaller time frame, like 15-minute, 30-minute, for me to want to get in just that high. Overall, even looking at the 30-minute, it looks like we could come slightly lower. But then on top of that, like I said, we have lower areas. So to me, if we break below this, I would be kind of waiting for this even lower area. We have a little bit of imbalance right above too that we could potentially see a reaction out of. But overall, my anticipation, I'm looking for gold to continue towards the upside. I was also looking at the 1945 area. Yeah, 1945 seems like it can be clean for sure. It's just a matter of now just kind of seeing what actually is going to take place. So let's take a look at DXY. Oh, okay. So if you guys were paying attention to stream basically for the whole week, right? Look at how DXY, look at where DXY came to, right? Yeah, sorry about that, family. I got a phone call. But basically, if we take a look at this, right, DXY came down, we filled this imbalance, right? We had this little imbalance that we were looking at in terms of the daily, but obviously we had this lower one as well that we were looking at, so that's why we chalked it up to this area. But DXY broke down towards, man, this is crazy. This is why this kind of looks a little bit clean, right? Because realistically, DXY right now, we could potentially see us come fill this insufficiency to then continue lower, right? And if we continue lower, obviously we're going to see gold continue higher. But if we do somehow manage to flip, which even on the weekly it doesn't even make sense, right? So to me, I'm still bearish dollar now. But we could see a little bit of a pop to the upside, right? So that little pop to the upside could be that gold retracement to the downside. So that's why, to me, seeing that lower area on gold kind of makes sense. Because I would want the dollar to push up a little bit before we continue down. But overall, I do want to see the dollar continue lower. So if we sit here, I don't really like to look at it anything other than daily, weekly, just because to me, the in-between is just really annoying sometimes with price action. Like, me looking at the 4-hour last week was pissing me off. And as soon as I stopped looking at it, I was lit. Because I'm like, I want it to go down. But, like, this price, like, Monday was just, this price action was crazy, right? Then we had Tuesday, right? Dropped like crazy, but then basically popped back up towards the ending of the day. So it was just very, very manipulative when it came down to the dollar. So for me personally, that's why I like to just look at the daily and just pay attention to overall where we could see reactions and where we could see moves from based off of that. Because for me now, I would just be looking for us to fill this insufficiency to then continue lower. Because like I said, on the weekly perspective, all we've been doing is making lower lows and lower highs. So to me, that kind of makes a little bit sense. Nasty Nas. Let's take a look at this. I really wasn't paying too much attention to Nas just after we broke above the area that I was looking at in terms of the 4-hour. Weekly looks like we could get some retracement to the downside. I like shorts on 30, so to me it makes sense for Nas. Maybe we are finally getting ready, right, to continue to the downside. Yeah. Overall, for Nas, what I would expect more than likely is just some retracement to the downside. On the hourly, it looks like we broke structure right here. And it looks like hourly wise, what we might get as well as maybe one more pop above this high. It looks like distro right now. It's just a matter of whether or not we're going to come and we're going to get this UTAD, or if we're just going to come up here and test this area and then continue lower. So overall, what I could see happening on Nas is this high gets taken, right? And we create that UTAD, that upthrust after distribution. And then once we create that upthrust after distribution, ideally we should then see some like we should see something like that. Okay, so that's kind of what I would be looking for Nas. If we do break above that high, right? If we don't break above that high, truthfully, I would just probably look for another top off the body of this 15-minute candle. So to me, I look at this. We have just most of the liquidity from New York session. We also had clean 15-minute breaks in here. But Nas is normally very good at coming and filling IPAs. It looks like on the 5-minute, actually, we have an IPA here. So to me, this would kind of be the only area that I could see us reacting out of. If we don't take the high, right, and then melt. And I kind of like this IPA too. Right. So overall, I would be looking to target just obviously all of the liquidity from like the last couple of days. In terms of Nas, just what we were looking at. So if we were to potentially, let's say, short this, we'd be looking for like a 1 to 15. Risk, give or take, like 30 points, depending on how we can scale in. But I like this. I think this potential entry could be clean. Send that out to the squad. US 30. Alright. From shorts last week, I got hit fucking break even out of all of my shits. I tried shorting at the top too last week. Went up like 80 points and got clizzity clapped. But 30 kind of the same thing. I'm seeing us potentially just downward movement. To me, I just think this is all liquidity in here. All these wicks. I think it was just bait, right? Have more money waiting for us so we can kind of dig back down, fill some of this insufficiency, mitigate out of this area. So overall on 30, right, potentially see the same thing, right? Overall, this last hourly candle is kind of where I'd be looking, but kind of similar to NAS, where we could potentially see us actually push above one more time and get that UTAD, that up thrust after distribution. If not, then to me this is really where I would be looking in terms of target area. Obviously that bigger box would be our hourly point of interest. That smaller area would be 15-minute insufficiency we have, so kind of narrowing down potential entry area there seems pretty good. So overall, same kind of thing for 30. Look for a pop-up, take these lows, right? S&P weekly candle. Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking at. I think that's the same with NAS and 30. Yeah, NAS has no wick on the downside. 30 does. So that's kind of what intrigued me for shorts too. So I definitely would say the same thing for S&P. S&P I haven't really been keeping an eye on since we filled and broke above. Truthfully, once the indices broke above that last area, I wasn't really looking, because we had a good week with gold and 30, body 30 this whole week. Yeah, S&P same thing. I would really be looking the same thing overall. Like, I would want to see us pop back into here. So overall, for all the indices, I would be anticipating and waiting for just something along the lines of that for New York session, right? I might even stream tomorrow, depending on truthfully what time I wake up. Getting my sleep schedule back on track. I fixed it and then I done messed it up again. So right now it's just a matter of not being on. If I lived in Europe right now, I'd be lit. So a European team, I might have to come pop up on you guys, because I'm active, right? I'm active. Like right now it's like 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning for you guys. Like, could be 1 o'clock for me right now too. No kid, right? But yeah, overall, what I would anticipate, like I said, is probably not too crazy movement. Like, to start the day, like you're probably gonna see an increase in volatility later on in the day towards like London Open. But I wanted to take a look at crypto as well. Take my weekly gander at crypto, right? Looked like we had clean accumulation too on the smaller time frame. Yeah. So overall right now for crypto, it's going to be interesting, because this daily, like this daily candle, at least on whatever broker this is. Let me actually pop up a different broker. Okay, so right now it looks like we just filled a weekly imbalance and tapped this last weekly candle. I really think crypto's gonna dump. I don't know, the everything is really just media wise, like people are too giddy about crypto right now. I don't know, I don't like it. So weekly wise, it looks like we're feeling this insufficiency. We're tapping this candle, this last buy candle before we just kind of trickle down, made a new lower low. In terms of us, obviously pushing up, breaking above this previous weekly high, we then broke below this previous weekly low. Daily, looks like we just filled some insufficiency here towards the upside, and since then we've been getting a clean reaction. I don't know, really right now, it says on multiple brokers that there's 3 minutes left in the daily candle. As of right now, it looks like we're basically engulfing. So as long as it closes like that, I couldn't see us then flying up. Like it just wouldn't make sense in terms of the algorithm. Like the only way it can make sense is if we fill this and then go higher, in my eyes. But or even maybe tap just this up here, right? But as of right now, to me, it would make sense to continue lower. Like I said, just from the fundamental of, like, even drop a one if you guys have seen more people talk about crypto and buying crypto in social media or on social media, like the last week or 2 weeks, like 3 weeks, a month, whatever the case may be. Because I have a bunch of people that really have just been sitting there and, to me, like, know nothing about crypto, that are like, damn, like, should I buy this? I'm like, who told you? TikTok told me. I'm like, what the fuck? Right? So in terms of XRP, right? I bought XRP right here the beginning of May, right? And I TP'd actually like last week. So I actually TP'd at a high, right? I TP'd about like 25%, which was pretty good. And for me, I'm kind of happy I TP because it basically came back down. But XRP overall too, I was seeing this, a lot of people talk about XRP going higher. So to me, when I see that, I just think it's gonna go lower, right? But I don't know, man. Hey, man, say, man. It's just right now, the daily looks like it's gonna go up, but everything else looks like it's gonna go down. Like the weekly looks like it's gonna go down. So that's why it's like, to me, I don't care if the daily looks like it's gonna go up, because the weekly beats the daily. The daily. And even the monthly looks like, this all just looks like accumulation from the monthly monthly perspective, right? Just us filling all of this insufficiency. Monthly wise on BTC, we engulfed, like that last monthly candle engulfed. Like I just don't see us engulfing last month and then reversing this month. Like it just doesn't make sense, especially when we're filling so clean on the weekly. Like take this in, like every lower low basically, we're coming back up and we're filling imbalance right away. It's like boom, break of structure happens in here, come back up, fill insufficiency. What happens? Lower low. What ends up happening? Fill insufficiency. What? Boop, breakdown. What are we coming to do right now? We already filled insufficiency, right? So to me, I'm personally anticipating crypto to drop. I'm not saying it's gonna fall through the floor, but at least off of here, where I'm looking to see us come back down to is at least like 22,000. So that would be about 4K, right? So like I said, just based off the daily, it makes sense, right? If we were to, like, with everything that we're looking at too, it makes sense. We're looking at gold to drop. We're looking, like, if everything were to drop, and this might low-key be like the high too, because if dollar could fly from where we're at too. So that's why, to me, it's like it's a really tricky area with the higher time frame. So you have to expect increased volatility, and you also have to expect the market to really just run out a lot of highs and lows. So don't get discouraged if you get hit out, right? Because like I said, I'm giving you the warning right now that it's gonna be funky, right? But now that we know it's gonna be funky, when it's funky, you're not gonna be sitting there like, oh my gosh, why is this happening? But now it's in this daily area, so we're really just trying to make sure that nobody is in the move. That's really what DXY does, right? But in terms of Ethereum as well, my gosh, I'm so salty about Ethereum too, because low-key Ethereum like just missed, like you know, 14 points. I'm a noob. I wanted it to at least fill the box, right? But it's like I wanted to short Ethereum up here. So, ETH was very clean. ETH was very clean. ETH, like, that's what I'm saying. I literally haven't marked up crypto since like the 8th, the 9th, like before we actually took these lows. I literally haven't looked at really Ethereum since then, right? So it's like we have this area, same area marked up, and to me it just makes a lot of sense. Ethereum, where we could potentially pop into, we might fill this. Ethereum is pretty good at filling. Ethereum, right? So what I would anticipate, we probably wick above, like we literally just wick above that area. As long as we take these highs, to me, we could probably just fall. We don't necessarily have to push all the way up into these areas. So in my eyes, I'm anticipating crypto to fall overall, right? At least a little bit. So to me, Ethereum back down to 1400, fill some of this. And it's like we could really break down even lower, but it's really just going to depend on the dollar. So look at this engulfing candle. We're pushing straight up. This is the beginning of this new daily candle for BTC. So I'm excited. I really think that we could probably fall BTC wise. Notice how that same area now, if we shrink down to the hourly, we have an insufficiency in there, right? 30-minute wise, I haven't called out crypto trades in a while, but just know crypto, we're nasty. A good first TP area would be like there. So I would say maybe BTC shorts, right? Maybe BTC shorts. Like I said, we could anticipate something similar that we're looking at for gold in terms of the distro, and just see that high get taken. But at least I would want to see this IPA get filled right here, right? To me, that would be a very, very, very clean first target, just because of the liquidity we have. But overall, I would be looking for it to take all of this. So we could be looking close to a 1 to 24 with our real target, right? But obviously like a 1 to 8 would be a good first partial area. Not bad. Kind of noobish, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is, man. What is Cardano at? Yeah, so I like the idea of this. Let's actually look at GBP. Ooh, GBP. JBP. So XAU GBP, if you guys want to know why gold was fucking around and finding out last week, it's because of GBP, right? GBP was just so bearish. And if you guys know that GBP normally is going to be the one that is giving us that direction on gold. Okay, so 30-minute wise, we didn't actually break below, because 4-hour wise is kind of ugly on GBP. But realistically, we're at the bottom of this structure right now for XAU GBP. So one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to reverse up, or we're really just going to melt through the face of the earth. And if we melt through the face of the earth, then, like, if we engulf now this candle and break down and close on XAU GBP, to me, in my eyes, gold is probably going to drop. So if it's probably going to drop, right? I still wouldn't even short this shit. I'm not even gonna hold you. There's too many highs. So yeah, we just have to wait for fills for buys. Like, I wouldn't short gold until we... The only way I lied to you. I would short gold if we took the highs and didn't close above like this structure. But if we fill this IPA and reacted, I'm playing that 100. Right? That was an IPA that I was kind of discussing a little bit like a few weeks ago. But drop in the chat, family. Is there anything that you guys want me to go over in terms of the charts? I feel like I went over BTC, ETH, gold, 30, NAS, S&P. Drop whatever you guys want me to go over. Like I said, whatever noob forex pairs you're just playing. Do you guys have any forex, any other cryptos that you guys want me to take a look at? I don't mind taking a look at anything that has a chart, to be honest with you guys. Right. Or you guys are all psychopaths like me. You guys just like volatility. I guess you really attract your tribe, huh? Makes sense. Makes sense. But yeah, family, if you guys don't want me to go over anything, and if you don't have any questions, comments, concerns, are there no questions? Nobody has any questions about accumulation? Anybody have any questions about just anything that we went over in terms of even trading plan? Like, this is the time to ask for help. I feel like this is part of being a good student, as well as asking for help, actually being willing to be vulnerable and be wrong at times, right? Like I said, it's like there's no such thing as a stupid question. So like, I don't think that anyone on this call right now is 100% confident that they don't have a question, right? It's just a matter of, are you guys gonna ask it, right? Are you gonna ask for help when you need it, right? Because sometimes the struggle is just literally one perspective away. We're one perspective away from really being able to change the outcome of our experience, especially when it comes down to the markets. Okay? But yeah, there's no questions, comments, concerns. That's cool. We might be live tomorrow, depending on, like I said, if the sleep schedule is there, we'll be up. If not, family, then we'll definitely catch you Tuesday live. But I love and appreciate you guys, family. Like I said, if you guys are on here, drop a like. Make sure that you guys are here on Tuesday. But I'm gonna catch you guys on the fly, family. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your weekend. Take care. Peace.